Hi everyone, it's Rachel and Anthony.
Hello.
From Don't Crop Me Now. And it's time for our monthly plot tour at the end of February. We were just about ready to start filming this video and a fellow plot holder popped over with a really exciting surprise for us. So hold on and wait till we get over to plot 2B, which is where our polytunnel is, to see what happened this afternoon. So we're approaching the end of February and we're going to have a look around our 3 plots. That's 1 full plot and 2 half plots that we have on our allotment plot in South Manchester, UK. So we're going to start on plot 5B, and this is the plot that we took on most recently. And at the back of the plot we have got a greenhouse, and obviously it's still very much the start of the year. There's not very much going on in here, but we do have a few seeds planted and a few seedlings on the way. So let's have a look. So as you can see, we've got lots of potatoes that are currently out in the light, chitting, ready for planting. And we probably will be doing that around from end of March to mid-April, depending on the variety. We've also got quite a few different onion and shallot plants. So we've got a few from overwintering onions and main crop onions. We also have some shallots that have been multi-sown. So there's quite a few of them around. There's some more to Anthony's right as well. Other than that, really, there's just a few other seeds that we have sown. It's mainly spring onions, salad crops, and we have started a few parsnips in toilet rolls. We do have a video on our channel about this method, so check that out if you're interested in having a go. We have really good success in growing big, long, straight parsnips using the toilet roll method. So we're now at the back of plot 5B, and to be honest, there hasn't been a massive amount of change on the plot overall, except from right where I'm standing. And this is a job that we have been working on this afternoon. This was actually the final thing of the big structural jobs that we planned to do for this season that we hadn't managed to get done before the rainy, wet and winter weather sort of set in. And we used to have here a strawberry bed that was the full length right down to here. There was probably maybe only about a foot or so path at this end. And unfortunately, when we'd cleared this plot, we'd obviously left in 1 or 2 tiny creeping buttercup weeds. And that is quite an invasive weed, and it's really not the sort of weed you want in a strawberry patch, because it spreads by runners and makes things quite difficult for your other plants to grow. So during the end of last summer, I hadn't really dealt with that very much, and it got on hold of the bed really. So we decided that we were going to clear this out, make the bed itself smaller so the path is a little bit more accessible. It means that we can put the herb pots all around the perimeter of this plot, so we'll have some there and some on this, which will be really brilliant for attracting pollinators. So that's the job that we've done today. It was quite a big job because we did have to dig this out. So even though we are no dig, sometimes there are times where you do have to dig, and I have to say this was one of those times. So now the bed is in. We put some manure, well composted manure on top to fertilise and to mulch the top, and probably in about a month's time I will put a little bit more compost on the top and I will plant the strawberry plants directly into the bed. The strawberry plants that we've got to use are ones that we have taken already as runners and potted up, that are sitting in our cold frames just behind us. And if we look at the rest of the plot, like I said, there's not really that much that's been going on. I had a good nosy here at our purple sprouting broccoli to see if there's any sort of fruiting happening. There's a little bit here. There we go. If Anthony zooms in. So when I say purple sprouting broccoli, this is obviously a white variety. I didn't realise when I planted it. But something's happening there, which is good. So we've still got some crops that are coming in from the plot. We've got the leek bed behind it, and again we're another month on and I haven't weeded that bed, but I will probably take these out over the next couple of weeks, because some things are really starting to go to seed as the weather starts to warm up. As in the rest of the plot, it's pretty much like it was in our video for the end of January. I do want to show you here, as you can see, that's quite a difference, that the root crops that are in are starting to resprout. So this is how we definitely know that spring is on the way, and we will need to get these parsnips out. They're still very usable for the kitchen. So a bit like we've still got crops for the next couple of weeks, there's certainly a few of the overwintering crops that we're going to have to get moving and using in the kitchen. If you want to find out more about how we cook and preserve our crops, then have a look in the description below, and we'll provide some links showing how we store items by freezing, but also within our pantry with a few different techniques, including traditional preserving techniques and also some canning. We're now on plot 4, and this is our main plot that we've had. I think it's definitely over 15 years, it might even be 18 years now. It's a long time since we've had this plot. And what's been going on here? Well, we did give the plot a good weed. When I say a good weed, we literally got half a bucket full of weeds, annual weeds, that were just starting to poke through between our 3 plots. So the no dig system really makes a huge difference on that. We have now composted those weeds, and that's one of the things that I would say keep a really good check on at this time of year, because those tiny weed seedlings, when you leave them in, will start to go, as they have overwintered, are going to start to either grow or go to seed really quickly as the spring sets in. And that's what's going to make it difficult to keep on top of the maintenance of your plot. So it's worth spending a little bit of time now just keeping on top of that weeding. If we go down to the start of the plot, you'll see our flower bed. So we're down at the front of plot 4, and all the plots on our allotment ground have a rule about having a flower bed at the front of the plot. So this can be between 3 and 6 foot, and I'm actually really pleased with what seems to be happening in our flower bed. We did quite a lot of movement of the perennial plants in about September or October, and we also put quite a few extra bulbs in, and as you can see, they're really coming up well. So I'm hopeful we're going to get a really nice display of spring bulbs in the front of our flower border, which is really brilliant, not only for pollinators but looking pretty too. So one area we have done a little bit more work on is this area where we had the problem with the ground elder growing in. And in the January video, we discussed a little bit how we tackled that. So if you've got problems with ground elder, then take a look at that video. In terms of this area, we're going to keep this a little bit temporary for this year, just so if we have missed bits of ground elder, because it's a real beast of a weed, we can tackle those really within the growing season. But we did decide to put this cube here. And this cube is actually our hotbed that used to be in the polytunnel. And I will be setting this up as a hotbed as well. I've got a friend who's got horses, and she's saving up some of the fresh manure for me. And I'm going to collect that in a couple of weeks, and we will be filling this cube with fresh manure. And I haven't decided exactly what we're going to put in this yet, but we will have some sort of ideas, and hopefully we can tell you about those in the March video. To try and make this look prettier, because when I look at it, you know, it's not amazingly attractive to be right on the front of our plot. What we have done is this is a sort of a strawberry planter really, and attach this on the front. So we are going to put trailing flowering plants on the front of here. And I think I'm also on the sides maybe going to put some sunflowers in that we can tie into this structure. So it's hopefully going to not quite look like a black cube right at the front of the plot. And it means that we can utilise this area. We can also put quite a few potato tubs around this as well. So we do use the growing space, but it's temporary, and we can keep a good eye on that ground elder. If we have a look at the rest of the plot, then I would say that not that much has changed. The parsley is having its last attempt to make the spring growth, and hopefully we should get a decent flush of growth on that for the spring, and we can use that again in the kitchen. There's a few more crops that are still in. We've got some kale just here, which is looking pretty good. Again, these are going to start to go to seed quite quickly, so we do need to get moving on that. There's a few spring cabbages behind us. Haven't done amazingly well, but again we'll need to use those. And then just behind me we've got a little bit more kale, and we also got the Brussels. So we're over now to our rhubarb patch, and this rhubarb patch was one of the first things that we put in on the plot. So it's a very, very established bed of rhubarb that is in a 6x6 raised bed. And one of the things that we did was a couple of months ago now, actually was it in January? I'm not actually sure, I'll have to look back on that. We covered up some of the rhubarb crowns. This one with this black tub on is just covered on the top of the actual bed, so growing within the bed. And then behind Anthony we have got a blue tub where we took the crown out, placed the crown on the ground and then covered it up. So let's see what's happened in this one. We definitely have the start of some forced rhubarb. A tip I would say is once you have forced a particular rhubarb crown, then don't try not to pick from that crown for the next year or so and give it a bit of time to recover. So let's have a look under this blue barrel. I haven't actually looked in this one. Well, there's not much going on. There's a start here. That may well be because it's a different variety. It may be to do with the different environmental conditions between this bed and this bed. Who knows? Hopefully we will get a crop from both of these barrels. Another crop that we have been harvesting completely throughout winter, and we still have some that are going to need to be used up, are carrots. And we've been growing carrots here in this raised bed that is surrounded by just a glass frame with an environmental lid. This is to protect from the carrot fly, and these have sat throughout winter, and we have been harvesting all the way through from autumn right through to now. So let's have a look. That was the bed, not Anthony.
Cheers.
Okay. So if we have a look at our carrots here, if Anthony goes down, there are still some in there. You probably will find that you get a tiny bit of slug damage for those ones that do overwinter in the ground. It's hard with that, I think. Hang on a minute, here we go. Short one there. Short one there. And a mixture of smaller ones there. So we've had a real range of carrots on here, some really, really good ones. So if you are thinking about growing carrots, it's really worth growing them over winter. We found this a really good staple crop to supply us with food over those winter months. And the last thing we're going to look at before we go over to plot 2B and look at that exciting surprise that we were given today is the garlic. We have our garlic patch here, and there is another garlic patch that we didn't show you, but it's at the front of plot 4. And this garlic's looking pretty good, looking quite healthy. The bed is pretty full. There's one failure here. You can see that there's quite a lot of new growth, and it's nice and green on this garlic. And then some of the outer leaves, they're yellowing a little bit, but you would expect this at this time of year. So we're now over on plot 2B, and we're going to show you that lovely surprise that we were given today. And it's in our tunnel. And ta-da! It's an apricot tree. I have been desperate for some exciting fruit to grow in this polytunnel, and it's one of the reasons why I really wanted to put a tunnel in the first place. One of the plot holders on our ground does a lot of fruit grafting and is very knowledgeable on this, and he's grafted this apricot tree for us. And so the variety, what is it, Anthony?
Vigama.
Vigama, yeah. Apparently this is a really large, juicy, tasty apricot that's really productive. And we've planted this in the main bed in the polytunnel, and as you can see, we've just put these sort of temporary really canes in, and we're going to plan to try and cordon this apricot within this bed, and then we will be able to plant some small things in front of that as well. So that was a really lovely end to the day, because we've been talking about wanting this apricot for a while, and he had offered to give us one, and he came along just as we were packing up actually. So that was a lovely end to the day. So this is our apricot plant. Other developments in the tunnel since January are we've planted up these strawberry planters, to hopefully force an early crop of strawberries. I've just put a couple of these in here. So I've got some hooks and got these put up. We also sorted out this area here between these two beds. So this is where the cube used to be. And so what we've done is I've taken that out and I've laid some slabs in and just secured these two bookcases, would you call them? Shelves, to put different types of seeds on. These will only be temporary, and after spring I'll take these down and we can use that area to grow different things in pots. So I think that's it actually that's happened in here.
Yeah, we've still got 7 tubs of potatoes to go.
Yeah, so despite making lots of potato items for the freezer, we've still got loads. So that's the thing I'm probably going to be doing this week, continuing with that cooking. And finally, as the light starts to fade, actually this took a lot of work this week because I've been off on annual leave. It's the fruit cage. So we've been saying for a while how we had these slabs that were at home, and one of the jobs we wanted to do was to put a permanent path structure into the fruit cage. And despite the weather, I have to say we had the terrible storms, didn't we, last weekend and at the beginning of the week, but from Tuesday onwards it really started to pick up here, and I managed to spend about a day and a half getting all these slabs laid within the fruit cage and doing a little bit of mulching. So that is another big job. So really we've ticked off all those important things, those structural changes we wanted to do for the plot for this year. So if you've enjoyed the video today, please like, comment and subscribe. It only takes a minute, but it really helps our channel. Take care everyone. Bye.
Bye.